Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here. Apologies for this unusual intro. I did have a minor accident in the past few days and it's not really looking so great. I hope you don't mind. We did have a couple of updates on the Dragon Age, the Veilguard, so let's dive right in and let me show you what's been going on. Alright, so we've got a few days ago a vid which was for whatever reason unlisted at first, but people have then shared the link thankfully on Twitter. It was posted by the Dragon Age YouTube account. It is related to high-level combat and it gives us more information about the high-level combat. So let me quickly just go through this vid and I will just highlight some of the parts where I have some thoughts on that, where I think that this needs to be highlighted a little bit more. And let me just simply share maybe my opinion with you. I will not post the entire vid. It is only 10 minutes, but I will provide the link in the description so you can have a look at the vid yourself, and including the sound. I did turn the sound off here because of the comments that are going on all the time in the background, so I would rather provide some insights from my side. So let's have a look at the high-level combat. Okay, so what I like here is that we can see the three main abilities that we are taking with us into the fight, and then also the so-called ultimate, that's the last one, the fourth one. There was more revealed about this ultimate in a different vid, so we'll look at that later. And then we have runes that we can put on our equipment, and let me just stop right here. I believe that we have way more runes that we used to have in the previous games, which is kind of a good thing. I think we can specialize more and we can use different combinations of what runes we want to apply to different weapons or armor. So I do like the variety here and that it's more than in the previous games. We do have the skill tree, which was presented already before. Now, I did say the skill tree here looks kind of messy. There is more description and more showcasing here on exactly how the abilities and the passives work, etc. For me, still, my opinion hasn't changed when I look at this skill tree. It looks like one big chunk of messy information. And I would have rather preferred to have it split out into separate small little trees like we had in the previous games. The inventory which is presented is very much like in the previous games. So you have here the armor, which is consisting of different pieces that you can enhance, and then you have weapons that you are using. This is a warrior build, so you have a shield and a sword, and also you have a backup weapon. I like it that you have like this backup weapon that you can switch to, so that's great. We can see that we can apply also the runes and the enhancements to our companions. And we are also, let's say, equipping them before going into a fight. This is what the screen looks like when you are choosing your companion for the next quest. We can see that there is in the bottom row this like row of cards where we can see the companions. So you can choose quickly here, and you can also see the abilities that the two companions which you are taking with you into the fight, like which ones they are bringing with them. I don't think there is like any big difference here compared to the previous games that much. You have all the necessary information here. It's just maybe in a different spot than we used to have. Alright, so this is the wheel which we have seen already previously. Now it's full, so we can see all of the abilities that both Rook and the companions are bringing into the fight. And also you can see with the green color highlighted the combo opportunities. So for now you can see that there is no combo opportunity with Lucanis, but there is some with Davarin for Rook, so that you can combine this as well. I'm still not really fond of seeing only 3 abilities per character. I do believe that we don't have that many options that we had in the previous games for like more tactical combat. So yeah, let's look a little bit more into the combat and the fighting style that was presented here in this vid. Alright, so let me stop it right here. What I really found great here was the kick ability, where you can just kick your enemies off the ledges, and this is really helpful, especially like if you have this kind of field where you have like a height difference. So it's easier for you to get rid of your enemies. You don't necessarily have to fight them all the time until they die. You have an option to get rid of them this way as well. So I really like this one. This is a good ability, and I think it will be fun to use in a fight. You do have also this shield throw, so you are able to destroy obstacles as it's written here, or you can also attack your enemy with it. Yeah, it's fun definitely for those who will be playing the warriors, so you can use actively not just your main sword, but you can also actually actively use the shield, not just for defensive purposes, but also like for fighting. So that's kind of a cool ability to have. Now, what we are seeing here is that what game devs are also highlighting, the enemies which you are encountering have not just the usual standard health bars, but they also have additional protection like barriers or shields. And you are able to see it here, it's yellow highlighted, so this one is having a armor barrier. And you will probably need all of the like abilities of you and your companions on higher difficulties to really deal with such enemies. It won't be so easy to get rid of them. I'm wondering about the difference between like playing on easier difficulties and playing on higher difficulties. There is one good thing which I have previously noticed that was discussed by the game devs, is that you can adjust not just the difficulty itself, but also like technically how much damage you or your companions are dealing and how much the enemies are taking. So I think this would be good if it's customizable, especially for newer players that are newer to the RPG games and who maybe will be struggling on higher difficulties. Yeah, it definitely helps if it's not just the difficulty that we can adjust, but also an adjustment of the damage that we are receiving and giving. On this spot, also one thing that I have noticed and I would like to highlight, but it's visible as well further on in the vid when they were showing us this high-level combat. Whenever you have more enemies, you kind of have a tendency to get overwhelmed. From what I have seen, your companions, for example, here on this spot, they are both concentrating on one enemy somewhere in the background, and Rook was kind of overwhelmed. So I do definitely believe that you are missing that one companion that they have taken away. So you should have really had the 3 companions and not just 2. Yeah, I understand this is on a higher level difficulty and a high level combat, but still it was way more fun and way easier to deal with bigger crowds of enemies when you had one additional companion, and also when you had more abilities available, unlike it is here. So I'm still not fond of seeing the one companion less and seeing only 3 abilities actively being used in a fight. So yeah, I'm not really fond of that. And also here I am going to stop the vid. What is something that I perceive unfortunately quite negatively is that cooldown period. So if you look at the cooldown periods for Rook whenever we are using an ability, and you can see it on the ability which is highlighted on the left side for Rook. The cooldown is running, you cannot use that one, but you still have the other 2 abilities that you can use. And then if you look at Lucanis, obviously all 3 of his abilities are available, so you can choose one of them. But for Davrin, you have previously used one ability, and now the cooldown period is running, but for all of them. So not just for that one which you have used, but for all of them. So from my point of view, this is again one more reason why there should be one more companion, and they shouldn't have taken the companion away, because you have only 2 companions, and now one of them cannot really like use any abilities. He can just like really fight with his weapons, but he's in a cooldown period, and that's not really helpful. So you're on your own technically right now. I'm really not fond of this one, to be honest. All right, so here we get a bit more information about the primers and detonators. This is one part which I have mentioned already previously. I do understand that this is a great ability for those people who liked, for example, Mass Effect, and they love to see it here. I will just reiterate again, it's not the point to have this ability. I did love the primers and detonators in Mass Effect, but not in Dragon Age. So I do like to use those, but I like to use those in that specific game where they kind of like belong to. I just don't think that this belongs to Dragon Age. I know it's kind of a weird take probably for a lot of people. I'm just not fond of that. I'm not fond of that in Dragon Age. I'm not saying it's a bad ability or a bad option to have. Of course not, because it helps you to deal with your enemies. I'm just not fond of seeing it in a Dragon Age game. That's it, right? Yeah, so for me, the primers and detonators, for me, they just kind of substitute that one companion that they have taken away. And I would have rather preferred to have this one companion back and not have these combos and primers and detonators. They don't feel like Dragon Age to me, to be honest. Now, one thing that I would like to highlight here is something that I have noticed. I'm not sure if, again, this is something that we might be able to later adjust, like in the customization of the game. But for me, at least in this showcasing video, it looks like Rook and the companions are not really dealing that much damage per hit. So it takes a lot of hits to do some damage to your enemies. But on the other hand, if you look at how much damage Rook is receiving, usually just 1 or 2 hits and the health bar is quickly disappearing. So there seems to be like an imbalance between the damage from Rook's side towards the enemies versus the enemies' damage towards Rook and the companions. Alright, so this is it for the showcasing of this high-level combat, which we have seen in the vid from Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think about the style that we have seen, of the combat that we have seen. It was a showcasing of a warrior combat, so it might be giving us some different insight than what we have seen, like the rogue previously or the mage that we'll be seeing later on. So let me know your thoughts. And also don't forget, I will be linking some additional vids by the end of this one, which might be interesting for you because they are related to these news. Thanks a lot for watching, stay tuned and game on!